What's going on?
In Paramount, Los Angeles. We're talking about fire.
You don't let me hear it, so I'm gonna
So
destroy
imagine
everything.
this. You're on FBI's most wanted list, but not for bank robbery or espionage, but for chucking cinder blocks at federal agents like a deadly game of dodgeball. And somehow you thought you can just sneak back into the country like everything is sweet and A-okay. But guess what? He got busted at the border by one of the same agencies that he allegedly tried to stone to death. That is karma doing the cha-cha slide in real time. But let's get into it.
You're under arrest for assaulting federal agents.
Reyna had initially fled to Mexico after authorities blasted out images of him to track him down, authorities said.
We're going to talk about this individual by the name of Elpidio Reyna. This is a 39-year-old man from Compton who just made a top of the FBI's You Really Messed Up list. So back a couple of months ago in June, during the wild, absolute wild ICE protests in Paramount, Los Angeles, we're talking about fire, broken windows, riot shields, and Elpidio allegedly hurling bricks and cinder blocks at government vehicles like he was auditioning to play for the Rams. This was a problem. And the FBI didn't just take notes, they released a $50,000 reward. They called him a mask brute. They slapped his mug on the most wanted page. And then over a month, he completely vanished. According to surveillance and drone footage, he was wearing a full black outfitted mask, seen physically breaking concrete slabs and then tossing chunks of brick at passing DHS vehicles, allegedly helping distribute protective masks to fellow rioters. He wasn't just angry, he was organized. And obviously the DHS didn't like that one bit.
Now the FBI says the 39-year-old Compton man fled to Mexico after the June 7th incident.
Federal agents claim that Reyna directly assaulted officers with the intent to maim or injure. That's federal assault on a federal officer, an extremely serious charge that carries up to 8 years in the federal prison, not county, federal. And this is where things get even more bizarre or spicier, however you want to call it. He was already a well-known figure to law enforcement. So let's roll out that rap sheet. Felony possession of a controlled substance for sale, felony sale of marijuana to a minor, DUI, driving with a suspended license several times. This wasn't just a one-time rage moment. This dude was just a criminal for over a decade. So let's be clear. This isn't some misunderstood activist. This isn't someone caught up in the movement and got too emotional and made one bad choice. This individual had a pattern, a record, a resume that reads more like a parole board's nightmare than a civil rights case study. The media might toss around words like protester or demonstrator. This person is a criminal who used a political flashpoint as a cover for violence. He didn't bring a sign, he brought a cinder block. That's not activism. That's assault. There's people out here fighting for real causes. Immigration reform, justice system changes, human rights. But when someone like Reyna shows up masked, armed with bricks, ready to fight, ready to riot, he's not helping. He's hijacking the message and giving a lot of people, a lot of opponents ammo to say, see, this is how they're all behaving. The truth is, you don't get 5 felonies and then magically turn into Martin Luther King. Elpidio wasn't there to protest. He was there to do what he always done, cause a lot of chaos and run. Only this time the feds were faster. So after that riot, Elpidio went ghost. No Instagram, no burner phone pics, none of that type of stuff. Dude went full Jason Bourne and then allegedly escaping to Mexico. The FBI, DHS, and the Border Patrol launched a multi-agency manhunt. They even put out the big guns with the $50,000 bounty for information. Posters were up, surveillance photos went viral, and the tips start flying in. But then One day, homie just showed up at the port of entry, the busiest border crossing of the Western Hemisphere, and turned himself in. Why? Well, it looks like word is that Mexican authorities already caught up with him, and he had not much of a choice. He might as well just give himself in.
You're under arrest for assaulting federal agents.
Reyna had initially fled to Mexico after authorities blasted out images of him to track him down, authorities said.
Buddy.
He was detained by Mexican authorities in the state of Sinaloa earlier this month, but later agreed to surrender to the FBI. Reyna was taken into custody at the San Isidro port of entry on a felony charge of assault on a federal officer, authorities said. To anyone who thinks they can attack federal officers and hide behind a mask or helmet, Reyna's arrest today proves we can find and charge anyone who violates federal law, as Saley said. While Attorney General Pamela Bondi also hailed the arrest, warning, you can run, but you can't hide.
And the interesting plot twist is the Border Patrol agent who arrested him was the same guy whose vehicle he allegedly bricked during the riot. You really can't make any of this up. But there's one thing that's clear. This dude's protest tactics earned him a potential decade behind bars. And if this whole summer of Crash House is supposed to be sending some kind of message to ICE or federal government, it's not really landing. So I've been checking out a lot of comments, just the understanding of what most people are talking about. And I feel like most Americans still support immigration control. Despite some of the social media stuff and the rants on TikTok and all the other type of things, polls keep showing the same thing, that the average voter wants secure borders. They may not necessarily agree with every single ICE tactic, but they're not lining up to abolish the agency either. It looks like the louder the protests get, the more that regular people are doubling down on wanting order. Especially here in New York City, after a federal agent here got shot in the face by illegal immigrants in New York, there's more ICE here as well. So these riots, these crimes, they're not scaring ICE. It's just strengthening ICE's narrative. The agency can point to the footage of cinder blocks flying and say, see, we are in a thin line between chaos and safety. Reyna and others may think that they're striking a blow against the system, but they're not really doing too much. Really, they're just muddling the waters for activists and people who are trying to work through legal and political channels to try to make some changes. Instead of exposing ICE, these attacks just justify ICE being there in the first place. Look, civil disobedience is as American as apple pie, as they call it, right? But when you start throwing cinder blocks at federal agents, the FBI tends to frown upon that. What do you guys think about this crazy story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in this type of content, hit the subscribe button. All your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Go follow.
I never post stuff like this, but I had to.
Is hungry.